We are so freaking back, baby. And so is Brendan Fraser. Never doubt the power of the internet, my friends, because Brendan Fraser is officially set to reprise his role as Rick O'Connell in a brand new Mummy movie. A return that feels both nostalgic and poetic, marking the latest and maybe the most exciting chapter in the Brenaissance. Let's unpack everything we know about Fraser's comeback, what makes this new film different from the upcoming 2026 Mummy reboot, and how this moment ties into the remarkable road that brought Fraser back to Hollywood's center stage. You see, back in 1999, The Mummy exploded into theaters and turned Brendan Fraser into one of the most bankable stars of his generation. The movie was a perfect blend of action, horror, humor, romance, and it took cues from the classic Universal monster movies, but wrapping them in some late 90s blockbuster charm. Fraser's Rick O'Connell wasn't your typical action hero. He was rugged but funny, and cocky but charming, and most importantly, he felt human. And his chemistry with Rachel Weisz, who played the brilliant and fearless Evelyn Carnahan, became the heartbeat of the franchise. Now, the sequel, The Mummy Returns in 2001, was even bigger. It solidified the series as one of Universal's crown jewels and gave us a pop culture moment that somehow launched The Rock's acting career with the Scorpion King role. But by the time The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor arrived in 2008, the formula had started to wear thin. Weisz didn't return, and even though Fraser gave it everything he had, the absence of that original spark was hard to ignore. And then the franchise went silent, at least for a little while. Universal tried to revive the Mummy brand back in 2017 with Tom Cruise leading a full-scale reboot, and the idea was to launch a shared dark universe connecting all the classic monsters from Dracula to the Invisible Man. But the film ended up being a critical and commercial bomb, failing to capture the adventure or some of the fun from the Fraser era. So when rumors started swirling that Universal wanted to return to the original continuity, the one with Rick and Evelyn, well, fans were cautious but excited. Then in late 2025, the reports actually became real. Fraser and Weisz were on board to return for a fourth Mummy film, with Stephen Sommers, the man who directed the 1999 and 2001 films, expected to come back as well. According to Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, Universal has been quietly developing this project for a little bit now, separate from the 2026 reboot that's already in the works. You don't want to get those confused, because that reboot is reportedly meant to reimagine The Mummy for a new generation. Darker, more horror-driven take that leans into the original 1930s tone. Fraser's movie, however, is being treated as a continuation, almost a legacy sequel, revisiting the O'Connell family years later. This distinction is huge because instead of erasing what came before, the new Mummy with Fraser is embracing it. Think Top Gun Maverick rather than a total reset. The plan, based on what insiders have shared so far, is to pick up years after Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, with Rick and Evelyn living in semi-retirement until, of course, another ancient evil stirs. Reports say the tone will return to the adventurous mix of scares and humor that made the original film so beloved for an entire generation. And unlike the 2017 reboot, this one isn't about building a shared universe or connecting to other monsters. It's about their family history and that old-school sense of pulpy adventure. Fraser's return to this world feels especially meaningful considering his career journey. In the 90s and 2000s, he was everywhere. George of the Jungle, Blast from the Past, Bedazzled, and of course, the Mummy films. He was a genuine movie star, one of the last of a specific type of Hollywood leading man. Physically committed, emotionally open, and unafraid to even poke a little fun at himself and look a little ridiculous if it made the audience smile. But then, things changed for him. He faced years of professional and personal hardship, injuries from some stunt work, surgeries, and a shifting Hollywood landscape that no longer seemed to value the kind of earnest heroism that he represented. And he also revealed back in 2018 that he was a survivor of sexual assault, and that the aftermath left him withdrawn from Hollywood for quite a bit of time. By the mid-2010s, Brendan Fraser had all but disappeared from the blockbuster scene. Yet slowly, something finally started to shift. People online rediscovered his movies, memes celebrated his wholesomeness, and suddenly, the Brenaissance was born. A grassroots resurgence of love for an actor who had never really stopped giving it his all, even when the industry moved on. The comeback started to crystallize after TV work like The Affair and Doom Patrol, where he brought a surprising mix of gruffness and vulnerability at the same time, but it was truly the whale that turned everything around for him. Darren Aronofsky's intimate drama earned Fraser an Academy Award for Best Actor, making him one of the most emotional Oscar winners and providing one of the most emotional Oscar moments in recent memory. His teary acceptance speech thanking the people who, quote, let him rediscover himself became an instant classic. That emotional connection is part of what makes this Mummy comeback feel so special. For years, his fans have been waiting to see him headline a major film again, one that reminds the world why he was such a magnetic presence in the very first place. And now that moment's actually happening. ScreenRant adds a few interesting details. Universal's vision for this project was inspired partly by the audience reaction to Fraser's resurgence. Executives reportedly felt that the time was right to revisit the world that made him an icon, and that the tone of sincerity and warmth he brings would ultimately resonate with audiences tired of iron-heavy blockbusters. Weisz's potential return is another key factor here. Insiders say both actors have been given some creative input into their character arcs, and that's something that Fraser in particular was interested in, given his long history with Rick O'Connell. There's also some talk that the story could include the O'Connell's now adult son Alex, possibly with a new actor stepping into that role, which would then open the door for a next-generation angle. As for when we might actually see the movie, Universal hasn't given any release date yet, but with the 2026 Mummy reboot already in production, the studio reportedly wants Fraser's film to follow pretty closely after, likely in 2027. It's an unusual move, two separate Mummy films from the same exact studio, but with totally different tones and universes. The 2026 reboot, directed by It Follows filmmaker David Robert Mitchell, is shaping up to be a straight horror film, claustrophobic, intense, and designed to reestablish the Mummy as a terrifying figure. It's a spiritual successor to the 1932 Boris Karloff classic, not the 99 version. And meanwhile, Fraser's film will play more as a high-adventure spectacle, the kind of film that defined late 90s escapism, but with a reflective edge. That difference is what makes all of this work. Instead of choosing between tones, Universal's now embracing both sides of the Mummy legacy, the monster and the hero. It's a bold strategy, and one that could finally satisfy fans who've wanted to see the Fraser version return with not actually sacrificing the franchise's horror roots. It's also a testament to just how far Fraser's come. A few years ago, the idea of him headlining another tentpole would have seemed nearly impossible. Now he's not only starring in one, he's leading a comeback that feels earned and heartfelt and genuinely exciting. Insiders say this new Mummy won't be about spectacle alone. You can expect a more introspective O'Connell, a man who's seen the cost of those adventures. Fraser himself has hinted in interviews that he'd only return if the story felt right, saying he'd love to revisit Rick if someone had the right idea. Seems that idea has finally arrived, and it's one that will hopefully leave fans plenty satisfied. The announcement has sent some fans, by the way, into total overdrive. Social media has been flooded with excitement, fan art, and countless posts celebrating Fraser's return. There's a sense that this movie isn't just another sequel, it's truly a heartwarming homecoming. It's Hollywood recognizing that audiences still crave sincerity, humor, and heroes who feel authentic and real. This all really speaks to the power of the internet, by the way. We've seen plenty of fan movements before. Obviously, the DCEU fans spent years trying to get Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut, and eventually they gave in, even allowing for tens of millions more dollars to be spent on the 4-hour release. Disney's currently dealing with its own fan movement, with Star Wars fans trying to pressure Bob Iger and company to greenlight the canceled Hunt for Ben Solo Star Wars movie that would see Adam Driver return to the role. And beyond the nostalgia, there's something much deeper here. Brendan Fraser's return to the Mummy isn't just revisiting a past role, it's actually about reclaiming it. For an actor who was once pushed to the sidelines to now be stepping back into the spotlight on his own terms alongside the people and the characters who helped make him a star, it's a true full circle moment few careers ever get. And given everything he's been through, this feels like a very wholesome case of closure for him. Getting another opportunity to revisit a role that so many people just idolize. In a way, The Mummy 4 is more than just another franchise revival, it's the perfect symbol of what the Brenaissance represents. It's a story of rediscovery, of second chances, and of the enduring power of heart in a business that often forgets it. So while next year's reboot might give us a darker, scarier take on The Mummy, Fraser's return promises something equally valuable with all of the heart. A reminder that heroes like Rick O'Connell never really fade away, they just wait for the right time to rise again. And that time is now.